All right, hello. Good, I don't know, morning, I guess, still. Saturday, and we're gonna actually start refactoring. And I'm actually really looking forward to this because I haven't been actively like coding this low level, which has really been, I've been coding my whole career, but it's been so much AI stuff. And the thing we're going to refactor is I'm working on this product called Divergent Todos. And oh, look at this. Yeah, we need to make it even wider. Anyways, doesn't matter. Um, called Divergent Todos. And it was like, since it was like the goal was the idea. It wasn't like learning anything. So I vibe coded the whole thing. So there's a lot of code there I haven't even seen. It was written in React, and then I put in this like silly experiment called Pipesy, which had a bug, and yeah. So I want to take like, so there's two things we're gonna do. We're gonna test ReactX, and then I'm also gonna get ownership in the actual code of this thing. So let's just get started. And like, if you don't know what ReactX is, it's still experimental, but it's transparent reactivity. So you don't actually express any special primitives for state. It's just object-oriented state and functional UI. And the way you bind them is that you have this single reactive function, which you pass the root state, and then you expose that state how you want. Like, just globally use it, pass it as props. Start by passing it as a prop, pass a nested state as a context. Like, how you expose it doesn't matter. The point is that you have this is the only thing you need. And then it has some additional like primitives for async management and stuff, because in an object-oriented world you just use a promise, right? But in the React world, you can't consume promises as is. Like, you want some abstraction over it to be able to properly use it. So that's basically it. So without further ado, let's see if we can get into this. Main. And we want to have this inside our apps web. Am I using PMPM here? Yeah, I think I am. Also here. Where's the package JSON? Okay, I guess so. PMPM install ReactX alpha. And you have to excuse I've been sick for a week. My partner's been sick for a week. Our 4-year-old has been sick for 3 weeks. It's been rough. It's been rough. Let's see. And then the only thing we want to do here is, so we have React, and then we want to import ReactX from ReactX. We're just going to use the bubble plugin. Let's see, bubble plugins ReactX. Let's see if everything still runs. Oh, it didn't. That sucks. Oh, fudge. So the reason this isn't working is because we are wrapping components in memo, but there's I'm wondering if we're using, can I see where this is? Okay, so there's some, damn it. So looking forward to just dive into it. So the thing is that the plugin makes the components observers. And there seems to be a bug here. Yeah, but I guess we can search for forward ref. So maybe we can actually fix something. That would also be great. Let's see if we can find it. So find in folder. Yeah, look at that. Oh, we have this smart editor. Okay, so it's using forward ref, and the thing that we're doing wrong is that our observer wrapper is gonna add memo, but it adds memo on the inside here. And it needs to add memo on the outside. So what we can do is that we can just ignore this file, so we don't actually wrap it with an observer. We don't really need to. So I think that's going to be our strategy. But it's something we can note down. Something to fix in, let's see, observable. No, what did I call it? Oh, what did I call that project? Observers? No, component. Observing components. I can never, it's such a bad name. I can never remember the name of it. Wrapping forward ref. Currently we are wrapping memo inside the forward ref component, which does not work. It should be on the outside. Cool. Yeah, let's see. Where is this located? It's in source. Oh, is there an easier way to do this? So in the close others. Let's see if we can get a move on here. Exclude source. What was it? Source. Oh, smart editor.tsx. So if we do that, it should be working. Yeah, nice. Okay, cool. So everything, it actually starts with the landing page. So let's start diving into the actual code of this thing. So we have main. And what we really want to do here is, oh, we have a cache provider. So we don't actually need that later. So let's just start by introducing our state. So it's going to be a new folder. And I think this is going to be the way you approach building apps with ReactX. It's like you have a state folder and you have a UI folder. So you just mentally have this state UI relationship. It doesn't mean that you don't have state inside UI, or like in your components, but that state is aimed on elements and styling, not your actual application state. So we're going to export class state from this, and it's not really going to do anything, but we are going to expose it. Const state equals reactive new state. And you can argue about like mixing these two. Well, we aren't mixing the worlds really. You have a very clear separation between them. But you're moving between object-oriented and functional, right? But this is the whole point. Like we have this really good abstraction for and concepts for state, which is like classes and all this stuff. Like you name things, you contain them in things, you are imperatively doing things. Like you're imperatively managing state instead of reactively managing state. Like there's so many good things to managing state that way. But when it comes to UI, you don't want to imperatively handle UI, right? You want to do it functionally. And you want to just react to whatever state changes are there. and kind of map state to UI. You don't want to like imperatively update the UI as the state changes. So for me, this is the perfect like blend. So for now, we're just gonna actually pass the state on the app here. And then we're gonna start looking at how that works. Oh, this is big stuff. Oh, look, oh, there's a lot of stuff here. OMG. So hopefully we can figure out where we're gonna start. So let's just say state. Okay. So we're just gonna start at the beginning, I think. And we currently has this is mobile device. And the way I want to handle this is I want to create, so inside, so we have state and we're going to create the UI folder, but we're also going to have, I like to call it effects. I'm not sure if we should call it that because ReactX is designed for React, so you might confuse it. But effects means things that your state management relies on to do, like talk and communicate with the external world, it being the environment, like here, or doing data fetching or whatever it might be. Because you want your state management to be unaware of being in the browser, unaware of using Firebase in this case. It should be able to run in any environment with any mocked environment. So it's really the environment that we are. When I say effects, I really think about the boundaries of your state management, whatever it's interacting with. So maybe we should try the term env. Let's do that for now. And then we're going to do, maybe we can call it device. I guess we could call it device. Yeah, let's do that. So we're going to call it device, and it's going to export a class called device. Oops. And let's see if we can efficiently. And we're basically going to just take this thing, and then we are going to say is mobile. And we're going to do this. Just put it in there. So now we have something called device in our environment. What I think we're going to do is actually introduce this environment as one thing, so that we instantiate the environment from the outside, we pass it into our state, and then we manage it from there. So let's create an index file where we're gonna export class env, and we're gonna have device here, which is new device. And in our main file, we're gonna say env equals new env, and we're gonna pass that environment into our state. And that means that if we want to write unit tests for our state management, we can very easily do that. Even integration tests, because we can just mock the environment. Another good thing is that you can write interfaces for your environment. So for example, the device could have been an interface. So you can have different implementations of a device if you wanted to do that. But I'm not going to do that because we're basically running in, well, it's completely true. We're running in Electron. Yeah. So, but we're going to explore that later. So let's first, private env is env. This syntax is not erasable syntax. What's this? Erasable syntax only? Is that because I'm not using it? What does that mean? Okay, let's look at that later. So anyways, now we have, by the way, let's check out. Now we have a way to, yeah, so this is also interesting because we, yeah, already here we can like start a discussion, I think, because this is mobile. If we take a look at this, it is let's see. Yeah, so it's not reactive, right? So we want this to be reactive so that we actually listen to changes in on the width, like on resize, so that we can actually make this a reactive property. So what we rather want to do here is let's see. So we're gonna make is mobile. Yeah, so we're gonna have a constructor for sure, where we're gonna set up the, yeah, so this is gonna be, let's create a private determine device. Well, determine mobile. Or check if mobile. Okay, so this is gonna check if mobile, and then we're gonna have how do we actually do this? Is this window add event listener resize? Yeah. And then we can do, let's see, is mobile is false. And then we're gonna do resize this dot is mobile equals this dot check if mobile. And then we're also, of course, gonna set it immediately. Check if mobile. So this could be on a debounce, but we're not gonna do that because we're using Mobix here under the hood. So whenever this is going to be set to false, so it doesn't actually trigger anything because it's the same value. So it's perfectly fine. Okay, cool. And then in our state, we're going to expose that. So we're going to have a private env, but we're going to say get is mobile by returning this.env device is mobile. Okay, now we need to figure this out. What is this? I think we're on something else here. Oh, what does this TypeScript error mean? I get it in my classes. Wait. What does this TypeScript error mean? I get it on a constructor where I have like private argument and the type. In your command in your constructor. Are syntactic sugar decorates and sign class fields. Oh. Interesting. That kind of sucks that you get into that immediately. Yeah, or we can parameter properties. Oh, that's why it does it. ES build. That's probably going to be changed then later. Okay, but we're going to honor that. So we're going to say private n is n. And then we're going to say, oops. This n equals n. Cool, that's fine. Yes, and then our state is just returning this. So what's interesting now, we might already be able to see an improvement. So if we go back and we open this, you see it doesn't show. I'm actually wondering what's happening. Oh. Yeah, you saw that? So it doesn't dynamically change, right? I have to refresh for it to change. But if I start using my state is mobile, I think it's gonna be, see that? Now it's reactive. So already our first improvement. Like what I just noticed, the landing page should probably not have this screen. But yeah, okay. But that's cool. So we're running now. So is electron, that's also something we should move into our device. Well, it's not device. Maybe we should we should call this something else than device. What do you call this? Like it's, is it runtime? Or I guess you call it environment, right? So you can't have environment. Well, that's the thing. Like it doesn't have to be, okay, so we're gonna change this. We're just gonna move this stuff. We're not gonna have device. We're just gonna have env. Is mobile. We're gonna have is electron equals like that. Cool. And then let's fix our state so it actually returns env is mobile. And then we can do state is electron. We can do the same there. It's electron. And you could have called this like, so that doesn't need to be reactive, right? Either it's electron or it isn't. What was I gonna say? Maybe I could have called it app state or something like that. But yeah, I'm just calling it state now. Cool. So we have this cache provider. I'm actually not sure what that does. I think that's part of pipesy. So that's probably going to be removed. But let's see what the next thing needs to be. Okay, onboarding provider. Okay. I guess we can just look at app content, I think. Yeah, okay. So first of all, we have authentication. So that's going to be our new thing. We can look at how this works. And this is actually really complex because it's using Firebase. So what we want to do is sorry. So we can do authentication here. Yeah, sorry, not there. Yeah, so this is a big decision. Like we don't want our app to care about Firebase, right? Even though it's very unlikely that we're gonna change the backend for this, it's still like a good practice to think about this as something separate from the state. So we do want to create authentication as part of the environment. I don't like environment. I like the term effect, where one of the effects is the environment. There must be a better term for this. Well, while we think about that, let's create authentication. So the question now is like, since everything is going to be based on Firebase here. So what we can do for authentication is, let's see. So this is the actual state that we're going to handle. Yeah, and now we're getting into these kinds of state, which is going to be interesting. Let's see. Hei, Oskar. Å, ble mamma sint? Å nei. Men du, Oskar, jeg må ikke gå under her, fordi det er masse strøm her, skjønner du. So the thing we need to evaluate is how are we going to express this in a class? I've struggled with this so many times. Huh? Å ja. Det var så kaldt her, skjønner du. Ja. Vi kan spille etterpå, vi, Oskar. Yes, so the thing about a class is that you can't express this kind of state. Like, we can see it better here. We have this union. Oh, what the hell? We have this union, which is something you really want to do in React, especially, of course, with TypeScript, is to use these unions to properly express the state. But you can't like do it inline in a class like this, like the relationship between these properties, which really, really sucks. So you kind of have to decide how you want to do it. So one thing we can do is that we can do authentication state like this. Firebase auth profile is something. Yes. So let's see here. We have Firebase. Firebase types. What do we want to do about this? So we're using this in a lot of places now. So what I think we're going to do is just import like this for now. And then we can move Firebase into the environment later. I know VS Code is supposed to update all the references, but yeah. So what we're doing here now is that we're creating like this state object that's going to be reactive. So we're going to have this environment, like we're going let's name it something else than environment. It cannot be called effects. It cannot be called environment. Let's see. So I'm reflecting on a term. I'm building an app, and I have this clear concept of state and UI. So I have like object-oriented state. I have functional UI using React. But then I want to make my state unaware of like the environment it's running in. So it uses like Firebase. It might run in the browser. It might run on Electron. but I don't want the state to have any specific logic to that. So I have this outer layer, which is kind of like the interface with the environment, but I don't like the term environment. I was thinking about calling it effects, but that is gonna contradict like React. So what would be kind of like a good term for, you have state, you have UI, but above state, you also have like the, I can't think of anything else than environment. But yeah, do you have any other suggestions? mm, yeah, runtime. Yeah, I don't like that. Bridge, integration, world, context. Well, context is very generic though, but it also overloaded with React context. World. No, I don't think there's a better term than environment. Because the way I like to think about it is like, that interface your state has with the environment is the perfect interface to do what the state needs to do. So the environment has an authentication mechanism, as if your browser had authentication, right? Your environment has a persistence mechanism, as if it was the browser itself. So yeah, no, let's go with environment. Anyways, so what we need is for our authentication to have reactive state. So this is going to be authentication state. And we start out with no error, is authenticating false. There's no profile and there's no user. Well, I guess is authenticating is true. That's how it starts. And then as we build up this thing, we're gonna basically take this stuff, and this is gonna kind of keep everything up to date. And I think we can just say this. Listen to auth. Sorry, listen to auth changes. Now, and this needs to have access to Firebase. So we're gonna have, let's just call it app. Isn't it app? I thought it was app. Yeah, Firebase. Oh, sorry, Firebase app. Yeah, just let's call it Firebase. It's more clear. And this needs to take Firebase app. And then we have this.firebase equals Firebase. And Firebase auth. And then I don't think we actually use auth anywhere else. Well, yeah, we're gonna see how that works. So maybe we don't actually have this. We have auth. Auth. Yeah, so we're rather gonna say this auth equals auth. How do we do this? Firebase. I thought, is this how you do it? No. Is it create auth? I can't remember. Oh, get auth, of course. Cool. So we have auth. So we can say this.auth. Oh, interesting. We also have our tracking. Yeah, so we need to bring that in as well. And we have profiles collection. these are just some constants. Yeah, let's just, do we have, oh, we do have multiple things here. Amplitude, feedback. Oh, okay. Those are the functions. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna move Firebase and we're gonna make that its own thing. So that we have everything. Yeah, exactly. Auth and everything. Okay, sorry. So we went a bit fast here. So let us call this Firebase. Was that a folder? No. Let's just move Firebase in there. And then what we're going to do is, yeah, that's something else. I'm going to keep these exports to keep the app running, but we're also going to export a class called Firebase. My daughter is asking for more Roblox time. So we're going to keep these, but we're going to re-expose them on here. Auth, db, and then functions equals functions. But later we're going to, of course, move them so they're actually constructed inside Firebase. And then we have these collections. Maybe they can be static. Let's see. Or how should we expose those collections? Yeah, let's just do collections, to-dos, and to-dos collection, and then profiles collection. Yeah, so we're just going to do this for now so that when we build up the env here, let's see. Let's do this, and then we're going to have authentication, which is going to be authentication. And we're going to this new authentication. Let's see. We're first going to create new Firebase. We're going to send Firebase in here. Let's clean this up a little bit. Yeah, it's interesting. Is mobile, is Electron. We could have put that into like a runtime thing. Yeah, we can do that later. Let's see. So our auth is going to have just Firebase, like so. And now we already have auth here. So we can say Firebase auth instead. And let's see, we have track user. Yeah, actually we're gonna have Firebase here. Firebase. This dot Firebase is Firebase, and then this Firebase.auth. And then we're gonna fix the tracking next, but let's fix this. Oh, by the way, profiles collection. Oh, it takes the DB, so this can't be static. We need to put them somewhere else. Let's just do collections on it. To-dos collection, and then profiles collection, like so. And then we're gonna say this.firebase collections profiles. And then we have on snapshot. Yeah, and this is where we're setting the authentication, but this is just gonna be, we can fix that immediately. We're just gonna do this instead. And then that's fine. And this is really the disposer. And the question is, we never want to unsubscribe to this. We do want to unsubscribe to the profile though. So that's interesting. So I think we should remove this so that yeah, we don't need this. So we're just going to listen to state changes, and whenever we have, let's see, that's the profile. Where do we have the actual, oh, there we go. Yeah, exactly. So we're unsubscribing the profile whenever we no, I think if no user and unsubscribe profile. Yeah. So whenever we have a state change, so we don't care about, we always want to listen to authentication as long as the app lives. But if we don't have a user and we are subscribing to a profile, we should stop subscribing to the profile. That's the point. Let's see. Okay, this is good. And this is just managing this reactively. So I can just do the same thing here. I can just return this as a getter on the actual exposed state to React. And I can access this from wherever inside my object-oriented code, like inside the state, to know at any time what is the actual state. So it's really important that things are mutable, right? So that you can write plain object-oriented code in a mutable world, and you always reference the latest value. And for React, it's based on observation, right? So it's always going to be the latest value in that sense. The tricky thing about using MobX with React is that React expects immutable values. So you can't really do things, well, you have to be careful with effects, for example, because you might be referencing an object that's never going to change. But in React's world, that would change if something on the object changed. But you shouldn't use effects. The whole point is that if any effects should only be used with local state. So effects should be related to subscriptions in your state. We're going to talk about that later. Or it should be like use layout effect. So it's related to some element styling state, right? It has nothing to do with state. Okay, so let's actually move. I'm not sure why we have amplitude in here. I think it was because I used Firebase Analytics first. But let's create a new file called analytics. Let's export an analytics class. And this is going to be basically going to be amplitude. How are we going to expose this without breaking things? Oh, look at this. We have another. Yeah, this is a better check. Let's move this. But I'm wondering how we're gonna expose this, because now we're exposing amplitude. Okay, but that's a simple thing we can oh, and then we have analytics here. Ugh. How are we gonna refactor this? You know what? We're just gonna copy this. So we're gonna move amplitude so that we have the initialization of analytics. So this is gonna be removed, and then I think, oh, this is gonna be tricky because analytics expects amplitude to be global. And this is an example of like, now I'm just globally like instantiating everything, right? So if I ever wanted to do anything else with this app, it would be super tricky. But the good thing about like taking practices from object-oriented code, not like that functional code doesn't have concepts for managing like the dependency injection type of stuff. I think, what's it called? Is it called effects? This library that's like functional and has dependency injection and all this stuff, but it's just way trickier to understand. Like it feels just very clever as opposed to being intuitive. And this is a long running discussion of why do we say that object-oriented code is more intuitive? Is it because it actually models the world better, or is it because we learn it in school? I've never learned object-oriented code in school, though the first programming language I was exposed to had, which was like Delphi, but I didn't write that much code. Yeah, in my mind, I think, in my opinion, I think there's something intuitive about classes, because this is how we label the world. We label them in like this. We have names for things. That's how we think about it. We don't think about the world in a functional way. We think about it, and I do this to that thing. Like an agent feels more like an imperative process than a functional process, if that makes sense. The world feels mutable. It doesn't feel immutable. Yeah, it's interesting. And I guess like in physics, the world is mutable, right? Nothing ever disappears in the universe. It just changes, right? So yeah. Anyways, that's getting too deep. We need to figure out how we're gonna keep our analytics without having to refactor a bunch of stuff. So what I think we need to do is we're gonna keep this. We're kind of forced to do that now. And then we're gonna basically just take our analytics here and we're gonna shove that into, so we're just gonna duplicate it. So we're gonna have this inside here as well. So we're gonna import amplitude. So we're gonna move amplitude into actual analytics at the end. And it's weird that it's inside Firebase. It shouldn't be there, but there's history to this. So basically, we're just gonna do this. And this is perfectly fine to do at this point. I'm really enjoying this. It's nice to sit on a Saturday with a clear conscience and just write some code, discuss fundamentals. Well, depending on what you're doing, there are more fundamental things than building apps. Oh my god, this is a lot of stuff. Oh, maybe I can. Let's just do this. Sorry. Okay, cool. So now we have some analytics, and we're going to make that part of this as well. Analytics, analytics, and we're going to say this.analytics equals new analytics, analytics, and we're going to actually pass that into authentication. So we're going to have Firebase and analytics. And let's just do like that. So in authentication, we also depend on, let's see, depths. Let's just call it depths, Firebase and analytics. And this.analytics equals, well, I guess we could kind of call this end as well. But yeah, no, private analytics, depths.analytics. Cool. So now we can say this.analytics track user, this.analytics track user, this.analytics track user properties. And we have authentication available in our new state. That's great. And it's fine to have this duplicated because it's just syncing with Firebase, right? So this is going to be the same. Well, I guess we're double tracking, but that's fine for now during the refactor. Well, I guess we can go into use. Where then we have use authentication. Let's just comment out the tracking for now. Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, cool. Yes, let's see if it still runs. It does. I guess we can, how are we going to test this? Maybe we can use the, yeah, let's use the test user. Oh yeah, I don't have the dev secret. Okay, let's just use an anonymous user. I think that's fine. But what we're going to do first is that we're going to see if this, yeah, we're going to add some stuff because now we have one hook for use authentication, one hook for use link, one hook for use sign in with Google, one for test, one for anonymous. We're going to move that stuff to our actual authentication class. Yeah, and we could clean this up a little bit. Private clear user. So that will be this. Or clear authentication. And then we have all of this stuff. Yeah, so we can split this up a little bit. Make it a little bit. This dot set and subscribe user. So we need, oh, but we need a shared and subscribe profile. Ah. Okay, let's just, yeah, it needs to be in there. Yeah. Yeah, that one's just so complex that I think it reads better. Just having the logic in there. Though we can... No, that also needs to be in there. Yeah, no, let's not change that. But we can... Let's see. What was it? Sign in. You have to excuse me, my nose and my... sign in. Sign in anonymously. Sign in test user. I guess that's it. Just 2 seconds. Oh, God. Let's look at use sign in. Oh, this is interesting. We also have sign in state. So this is a different, like, how we're going to manage this. Because now we have the actual authentication state, but then we could extend this to also deal with the sign in. But these are really different things. Like, what's your authenticated state and what is your... So sign in is kind of like a mutation. So maybe actually we can use mutation. Yeah, let's use a mutation for this. This is going to be interesting. Oh yeah, this is going to be interesting. Yeah, this is electron thing. We're gonna make that a constant. Then we have, yeah, this one. Ikke noe problem, Oskar.
Mamma, pappa, vi skal lage et glas.
Koselig, ja. Jeg gleder meg, Oskar. Let's see. So let's also fix our is electron. Let's grab that from our constants. Yeah, I really want to move this stuff to make it clean. I think we're going to call it runtime. Yeah, let's do that. Export class runtime. And let's move. Oh, sorry. Let's move both of these to runtime. Constants, and then there was some checks for mobile here. Let's just grab all of this. Runtime. There we go. Sorry. And then we're going to runtime. It's going to be runtime. And then we're going to say, yeah. Yeah, no, let's just do this of runtime equals new runtime for now. So we need to fix this in our... Yeah, I was just reflecting on how our was it authentication? What were we looking at? Let's see, amplitude. We're done with that one. Analytics, we're done with that one. For now, we're done with this one. Yeah, runtime is mobile. Yeah, so what? Yeah, we can have them on the root state. That's fine. Runtime state. Where was the thing? The sign in and everything. Let's clean up here. So we have app. Oh, interesting. Yeah, use sign in. There we go. Okay, we were talking about using a mutation for this. So I think we can do that. So let's, because that is this is an async thing, right? And this is a tricky part with React, is that you're performing these asynchronous things and you want to track their state. So we need to do mutation, and this is why ReactX gives you these primitives. So you sign in. Check if running an electron. We have a better way to do that. And this is not going to return anything. Hi there. Yeah, thanks. What did I work on last time? You watched? Was it ReactX or? There's been a lot of experiments. Let's see. So this is an async thing. Window. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think this is fine that we check this. Because we're using that to actually start the sign in. This is coming from Firebase. So this needs the as Firebase and analytics as Firebase.auth. This.analytics.track sign in. This.firebase.auth. Okay, so this is interesting. So this is the sign in mutation. So sign in itself has all the states here. So if there's an error, it's going to show the error state and everything in a way that React can actually consume it, which is great. The thing we are missing from this is this part. So we're having this delay. And the reason is that the sign in asynchronous process, I haven't tested it, Henry. But I can find some time to test that. I wasn't sure about. I'm still reflecting on, because we have AI, so it would be a cool project to like. Okay, so one thing that's changed here is that we don't integrate the Overmind DevTools directly with the proxy anymore. Now the proxy emits events for everything that's happening, but it's based on the implementation of like having like these actions starting, operators, and all of these concepts. But I'm going to change the name of those events. But it has everything that's needed to display something, like we do in Overmind DevTools. And then there's like two choices. Either we like continue iterating on the Overmind DevTools to make ReactX work with it, or we use AI as kind of a side project to try to build a specific dev tool for this, because now we have all the events, we know how to use them, and we can just build something that's specific to this tool. But yeah, I'm not sure about that. So yeah, I do want to, but anyways, I do want to get back into the dev tooling, but first we need an actual running app that has all the complexities, so that we can more easily identify where the dev tool falls short. But yes, so we have this delay because the sign in to Google resolves before we get the authentication event. So it basically just has this delay. And what's going to happen is that it's going to stay in signing in for like 5 seconds, like beyond the authentication state. But because the authentication state changes, we're not like even looking at this anymore, because we get authenticated and kind of move in. So we need to just add like a sleep thing. We can have yeah, let's add a sleep function. So let's add some basic utils to this as well. Export function sleep. Return new promise. Resolve, set timeout. Resolve after those milliseconds. Sign in resolves before authentication event. We just stay in this state, and when authenticated, it will just move on. Okay, cool. So what's going to happen here when we sign in is that it's going to check if it needs to do it with Electron or with just a normal browser thing. And then when it resolves, we're going to track that you signed in, and then we're just going to wait for 5 seconds to wait for the actual snapshot listener to trigger. And then that's fine. Cool. That's sign in. We're not going to delete the old one, but let's there's so much let's see. And then I think, yeah, this has the same thing. Yeah, so I haven't changed it. I just separated, I did a separation of concerns, so that the proxy currently still emits the same events, and it even has the to put it so the proxy doesn't have a dev tool anymore. Like the proxy just has an event emitter that just emits like a mutation happened, an action started, all of this stuff. And then there's a separate file which is the actual dev tools that's running, is still running towards Overmind. So what you're doing is that you're not passing in a dev tool to the proxy anymore. You're passing in an observer. So one observer that's been implemented is the observer for the Overmind dev tool. So it listens to the events from the proxy and then passes those on to Overmind. So it should still just work. I haven't made any actual functional changes to that. It's just a separation of concern. We can try running it, and then we can see kind of what happens, I guess. Because if it kind of just works with Overmind DevTools, we can just use that. And if it doesn't work, we have to evaluate, like, should we dive in and see if we can make it work, or do we want to yeah, like the alternative is to create like a new dev tool. But yeah, there's a lot of logic that's been done. Like there's a lot of stuff that has been done with Overmind DevTools. So it's probably not a good idea to build anything new. Let's see, authentication. Sign in anonymously is also going to be a mutation. And we're going to say Firebase off, this.firebase.off, this.analytics, track sign in. We're not going to return this, but we are going to await. We're going to sleep for 5 seconds. Also here, we sleep to wait for the auth state to change. And then we have, sorry. Yeah, so this is definitely much cleaner than use test sign in. Yeah, and this has been implemented in a different way. So this is nice to see. Yeah, we don't need to set these states. Let's just copy it over. Let's make this a mutation. Let's see. Oh, we have functions here. This.firebase.functions. So it's doing all this stuff. Firebase.off. And then yeah, we're not gonna catch or anything like that. Yeah, we can remove the try catch. This is just gonna work. And then also here, let's sleep for 5 seconds. Nice! Kosa med den, Oskar.
Men snakker du til?
Jeg snakker til de som ser på.
Hvor lenge?
Det er litt grann til. Hvor lenge er det vi har holdt på nå da? En time. Hold på litt grann til. Du koser med isen, du. Kommer etterpå. Ok?
Hvor mye?
20 minutter.
Hva skal du?
Det er ikke så lenge. Kos deg med isen, du. Okay, cool. Yeah, because this was actually also a tiny bug, is that we weren't awaiting here. So that's nice. Okay, but this is definitely much cleaner. Let's see. So we have authentication. So what we can do now is in the app, we can change so that we actually sign in using the state here. Let's see if we can find it. App content. Oh. Oh, there's so much stuff here. How are we gonna approach this? Oh, and we are... Well, this is fine. Yeah, this is still gonna work. Hand track if we've seen an authenticated user. Yeah, I have this. We're gonna change this anyways. Because I want to have the landing page as kind of... Yeah, I was messing around with this. And that's also something I really want to fix, is that when you start signing in, it moves directly into the app and kind of shows you the sign in if you were already using the app. Well, now it stays on the landing page. But if you do sign out, I want you to go back to the landing page. I think. And in the Electron app, there is no landing page. Yeah, there's some complexity to this. So we need to fix this, but this should still work. Because we are completely replacing the user. We're not updating the user. Oh my god. This is going to be fun to... Yeah, maybe this could be the next thing we do. We try to... Oh, morning, Adam. Let's refactor these effects. Because this is such a good example of, like, this is indirection, right? You don't know when you're signing in that we're making these changes. You can't see in the signing code that these things are happening when the user changes. So we're going to change that. Maybe we can just do that now. Oh yeah, this is it's very interesting. I'm doing this technique, like, you know, the to-dos or the focuses that I'm calling them now. They are ordered, right? You can drag them and they stay in order, but it's not based on like index, because when you move something, you only want to update that one thing you move. You don't want to update, like, let's say you move to do from one place to a list with 10. You don't want to update all 10 with a new index, right? You just want to update the one you move, but it needs to be positioned. And there's something called, was it fractal? I can't remember. What's it called? Yeah, there's a way to do this, which is very interesting, which I'm using. Anyways, so I think we should just go in, initialize font size system. Oh, here we also have an is-electron. Wow, there's so much stuff going on here. Whoa. That's a lot of stuff. Yeah, maybe this should be our first... Look at this. Yeah, shortcuts. Oh my god. Okay, this is gonna be very interesting to clean up. But let's just do it by domain. So we're gonna first look at this authentication effect. So we moved everything underneath authentication now. So we have... Oh, I love it. I did ship within a week though. Like, I would never have been able to build this app by actually coding it. There's something, and what's interesting to me is that I love cleaning up someone else's code. Like, when I started at Code Sandbox, it was because of not AI slop, but it was like Eva's. He had built Code Sandbox very, very fast. That's his thing. Like, he has a lot of energy. He's super attentive to feedback. He's very, like, he's a founder, like entrepreneur. So he just goes in and makes things work. But the Code Sandbox client was running on Redux, and it had real performance issues. And I had a shit ton of fun refactoring that to Cerebral at the time. So yeah, I like organizing slop. But now I can generate my own slop, right? Using AI, which is amazing. And I get to actually ship something, which I have never been able to do because I get stuck in doing it the right way, as opposed to actually shipping a product. What do you mean? What is worse or same? AI slop or Eva's? Eva's slop. He won't be offended by this, by the way. He's an excellent programmer, but he's, as I said, an entrepreneur who cares about the result more than the code, which you should do. Let's see. Oh, interesting. I think it's very much the same. It's like, instead of refactoring, reorganizing, containing, you just write it where it needs to be to make it work immediately. So I think it looks very much the same. Okay, but now we have this authentication class which handles the actual authentication state. It handles the sign-ins using a mutation so that we can track the sign-in state in the UI. And then what we're going to do now is look at these effects to remove this indirection. Exactly, spaghetti, spaghetti. So the way I want this to work, and I don't think we should change the behavior, but the way it works now is that you click sign in, and when you do that, we're going to have a sign in user. Yeah. And then we're going to set a state that says if we have left the landing page. So that, yeah, this is the point. So if you refresh after signing in, so when you're signing in the first time from the landing page, you're going to stay on the landing page until you're authenticated. But if you refresh, you shouldn't see the landing page. You should see the app. That's why we keep track of if you've actually left the landing page. But what I've been thinking about now is that if you start to sign in, we should just jump straight into the app. I think that's going to look better. The only concern I have is, yeah, maybe we should just fix that immediately. But point being, we need to track this state. Has left landing page. So let's do that. Yeah, and user just signed out. We're gonna change that state. So we should be able to just have that state here. Maybe we could even have it on the authentication. Or should we just have it as a property? Well, we can have it as a property. Has left landing page. We could call it something else though. Like, not to make it a UI thing, but has signed in. And then I can rather comment it, what it means. And the question now is like, should we use local storage directly, or should we have like an actual environment thing for this? Oh, wait, now I'm mixing up some things. So this is so tricky because well, it's not tricky, but it's a decision you have to make. So this authentication, this is part of the environment because it's using Firebase, it's using the analytics implementation, but this, like, yeah, this is a good question. No, I think it should still be here. Yeah. Has signed in. Oh. Let's call it has signed in, and then we can rather expose it from our state as has left landing page. Has previously signed in. Let's just make that false for now. We're gonna grab it from local storage. And I guess we wanna, this is interesting. Is electron, then it's true because we don't have a landing page, or you have to sign in to use electron. Oh, this is interesting. No, I don't think it makes sense here. Sorry, false. I wonder how we do storage in Electron. I don't even know that. Use mark app install. Yeah, exactly. If Electron doesn't do anything. I don't actually think we use any storage in Electron. Yeah, because we store it on the theme. But I actually want to change that. Okay, so we're going to do another thing. We're going to have something called a JSON storage. which is going to be local storage in the browser, and Electron has something else, but it allows us to store things locally. So we're going to implement that, and then we're going to use that here. JSON storage. And this is going to be very simple. It's going to be set item t. Yeah, and then constructor is going to have a namespace string. So namespace equals namespace. So basically what we're going to do, sorry, this is going to be key string. And then we're going to do, yeah, so this is going to be interesting. So we're going to export an interface for this. Export interface, JSON storage. Going to take T. It's going to have, then implements JSON storage. Set key string item T. Oh, yeah, and this is also, so the question is, do we allow you to, is JSON storage like one thing? Or do we want to store stuff in multiple keys? Because if we do that, then it doesn't make sense to have a generic for the whole storage. Then you have it like per. But I do like the concept of like just having everything stringified in one. Yeah, we're going to try that. So set, we don't even need a key, we just get, but it's going to be async. Why are you complaining? Oh, yeah, I think it's because of this thing. Cool. So it's going to be JSON local browser storage, export class, JSON Electron. JSON storage. We're basically going to do the same thing. I'm actually not sure how. So that would be local storage set item JSON stringify. Yeah, so I want this to actually be an object. Cool. And then JSON stringify item. Yeah, we could even allow, now I get, you know, this is why I don't, can't build products myself. I have to use AI because I get stuck in, oh, maybe we should make this a partial. Like I get into API design of the internals just because I find it fun to do, but it's not productive if you actually want to, namespace. Yeah, this can actually be null. So let's do null. Extends object. Yeah, I'm not actually sure how this is. How this is actually handled yet, so let's not care about that. But the whole point of going through this is to show how, even though you have an environment, right, you might want that environment. So this is to the extent you do things. You have UI, which is functional components, which can have internal state, but that state is bound to elements and styling. Any effects, any layout effects, whatever you're doing there is related to the specific elements and styling. And then you have your state, which is your actual application. And then you have your environment, which are the specifics of how to do things like storage or running in the browser. Like the state doesn't care about you running Firebase, it just needs storage. It doesn't care about Google or like Google auth providers and stuff like that. It just wants to sign in with Google, right? Stuff like that. And then here for like local storage, it doesn't care about the local storage. It wants a JSON storage. But we don't only want a JSON storage. We want an implementation of a JSON storage, so that if you're in the browser, it's going to use local storage. If you're in Electron, it's going to use Electron storage. But from the perspective of the state itself, it will just work. You can easily write tests. You can mock anything. And it's going to be super clear code. And it's going to be like proper separation of concern. Yeah, let's just do... I think this needs to be partial. Ska där. Yeah. Okay. We still have a sick 4-year-old who wants to play. Where vi ska spela? Oh. Yeah. So yeah, I don't have more time to do streaming today. So I'm so sad. But we're gonna continue this journey tomorrow, hopefully, where we're gonna bring in this storage. We're gonna bring in the storage. We're gonna add this if you signed in before, and then we're gonna start cleaning up those effects. We're gonna make them imperative so that when like a sign out happens, we're actually gonna change that state, as opposed to using an effect. I think. Well, like this is a good example of like actually doing things reactively, because there's many reasons why you might sign out, or you don't control when you sign out, right? It's a subscription. But my point is, we're going to do it on the actual subscription. We're not going to make it an effect of the state change. Okay, but I have to go. Bye for now.